Lincoln's Inn! Where to find him now? I am at Lincoln's Inn. Where did he say his master was?
He said only at Lincoln's Inn, sir.
And your wisdom never inquired at whose chambers?
Sir, you spoke to the servant yourself.
If I was too impatient to ask questions, you ought to have taken directions, blockhead. Go, inquire at all the chambers round. I know he's expecting me. Ah! Gordon!
Saville, my dear fellow.
The devil brings you to this part of town. Have any of the long robes handsome wives, sisters, or chambermaids?
Perhaps they have, but I came on a different errand. And had thy good fortune brought thee here half an hour sooner, I'd have given thee such a treat.
I'm sorry I missed it. What was it?
I was informed a few days since that my cousins were come to town and desired earnestly to see me at their lodgings in Holborn. Away drove I, imagining them all the way as so many Hebes. They came from the farthest part of Northumberland and had never been to London, so naturally they should be made up of rusticity, innocence, and beauty.
Naturally.
Well, after waiting 30 minutes, during which there was a violent bustle, in bounced 5 wretched damsels, 4 of them maypoles, the 5th as round as a tea kettle. But they all opened at once like hounds on a fresh scent. "Oh, Cousin Courtall, how do you do, Cousin Courtall? We want you to go with us, Cousin Courtall, to the park and the plays and the opera and Almack's and all the fine places." The devil, thought I, may attend you, dears, for I am sure I won't. However, I heroically stayed an hour with them and discovered the useless virgins were all come to town with the hopes of leaving it wives, their heads full of knights, baronets, and adventures.
And how did you get off?
Oh, pleaded a million engagements, and then took a sorrowful leave, complaining of my hard fortune that obliged me to set off immediately for Dorsetshire.
I congratulate your escape. Courtall at Almack's with 5 awkward country cousins? Why, your reputation as a man of gallantry could never have survived it. But come, give me some news. I have been at Lichfield these 2 months and am a stranger to all that has passed here in town.
Oh, enough for 3 gazettes. The ladies are going to petition for a bill that, during the war, every man may be allowed 2 wives.
It isn't possible they should succeed, for the majority of both houses of Parliament know what a troublesome affair it is to have one.
Gallantry was blackballed at the coterie last Thursday, and prudence and chastity voted in.
Whatever helps them sleep at night. But, have you no elopements? No divorces?
Divorces are absolutely out. And the last young lady to elope was captured by her mother's carriage 3 streets from home, and there an end.
What more?
Nothing, for I never talk of weddings, death, and politics, but whilst my hair is dressing. But prithee, Saville, what make you in London?
Oh, I came to meet my friend Doricourt, who, you know, is lately arrived from Rome.
Arrived, yes, faith, and has cut us all out. His carriage, his liveries, his dress, himself are the rage of the day. His first appearances set the whole town in a ferment, and his valet is besieged by petitions of tailors, habit makers, and other ministers of fashion to gratify the impatience of their customers for becoming à la mode de Doricourt.
Really? Well, those envies will soon be over. He's on the point of marriage.
Marriage? Doricourt on the point of marriage? 'Tis the happiest tidings you could have given, next to his being hanged. Who is the bride-elect?
I never saw her, but 'tis Miss Letitia Hardy, the rich heiress. No, the match was made by the parents, and the courtship begun on their nurse's knees. Now, Master used to crow at Miss, and Miss used to chuckle at Master.
Oh, then by this time they care no more for each other than I do for my country cousins.
Well, I don't know as to that. They have never met since they were thus high, and so probably have some regard for each other.
Never met. Odd.
A whim of Mr. Hardy's. He thought his daughter's charms would make a more forcible impression if her lover remained in ignorance of them till his return from the continent.
Mr. Doricourt has been at Councillor Pleadwell's and gone about 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Zoons. I have been 5 minutes too late all my life. Good morrow, Cordall. I must pursue him.
Promise to dine with me today. I have some honest fellows.
I can't promise. Perhaps I may. Ha! See? There's a bevy of female Patagonians coming down upon us.
By the Lord, it must be my strapping cousins.
Mm-hmm.
I dare not look behind me. Run, man, run!
Tap, tap. What sneaking devil art thou? So, I suppose you're one of Monsieur's customers too?
Fresh from Tellson, sir, with guineas to spend. Where is the gentleman?
Oh, Guillaume. He's no gentleman, madam. He's French. There's a tradesman with him now. They're appraising the Venetian silks. So if you... I think I hear them coming.
Well then, you have shown me all your master's things for sale.
All in verite, monsieur. You have seen everything. Servitor, servitor. Ah, here comes one other curious Englishman. Alone, monsieur, this way. I will show you things, such things you never see beggar in England. Velvet by Lemon, suits cut by Verdu, trimmings by Grosset, embroidery by Detonville.
Puppy! Where's your master?
Zoons, you chattering, frog-eating dunderhead. Can't you see a gentleman? This is no customer. 'Tis Mr. Saville.
Monsieur Saville, je suis mort de peur 10,000 pardons. Excuse my error and permit me you conduct to Monsieur Doricourt. He be too happy à vous voir. This way.
Sarò troppo tardi per Giacomo. Digli di venire immediatamente.
Sì, subito, signore.
Je vous présenter, Monsieur Saville.
Le plus chanceux. My dear Saville, let the warmth of this embrace speak the pleasures of my heart.
Oh, well, this is some comfort, Doricourt. After the scurry reception I met with in your hall, I prepared my mind as I came up the stairs for a buongiorno, a grimace, and an adieu.
Why so?
Well, judging the master by his servants, what the devil is the meaning of that flock of foreigners below with their parchment faces and snuffy whiskers? What? Can't an Englishman stand behind your carriage, buckle your shoe, or brush your coat?
Stale, my dear Saville, stale. Englishmen make the best soldiers, artisans, and philosophers in the world, but the very worst footmen. I keep French fellows and Italians for the simple reason that my own countrymen have minds too enlarged to descend with a grace to the duties of vassalage.
A good excuse for a bad practice, and full of hypocrisy. Why, I have heard you decry this very custom, together with all the other frivolous manners imported by our traveled gentry.
Aye, but that was at 18. We're always very wise at 18.
Yeah, true. And now, we are a foolish 26. So, let us turn our conversation to a foolish, pleasing topic. When do you expect Miss Hardy?
Oh, the hour of expectation is past. She's arrived, and I this morning had the honor of an interview at Pleadwell's. The writings were ready, and in obedience to the will of Mr. Hardy, we met to sign and seal.
And the verdict? Did your heart leap or sink when you beheld your mistress?
Faith, neither one nor the other. She's a fine girl, as far as mere flesh and blood goes, but...
But what?
Why, she's only a fine girl. Complexion, shape, and features, nothing more.
Is that not enough?
No. She should have spirit, fire, l'orangerie, that something, that nothing, which everybody feels and which nobody can describe in the resistless charmers of Italy and France.
Thanks to the stinginess of my father that kept me from travel, and I would not have lost my relish for true, unaffected English beauty to have been quarreled over by all the belles of Versailles and Florence.
Oh, thou hast no taste.
What?
English beauty
Uh-huh.
is insipidity. It wants the zest. It wants poignancy, Saville. Why, I have known a French woman, indebted to nature for nothing but a pair of decent eyes, reckon in her suite as many counts, marquises, and fops as would satisfy 3 dozen of our first-rate toasts. I have known an Italian marquisina make 10 conquests in merely stepping from her carriage, whose real intrinsic beauty would have yielded to half the tittering shop girls that pace the mall on a Sunday.
And has Miss Hardy nothing of this?
If she has, she was pleased to keep it to herself. I was in the room half an hour before I could even catch the color of her eyes, and every attempt to draw her into conversation occasioned so cruel an embarrassment that I was reduced to the necessity of news, French fleets, and Spanish captures with her father.
So, Miss Letitia Hardy, with only beauty, modesty, and merit, is doomed to the arms of a husband who will despise her.
Oh, you are unjust. Though she has not inspired me with violent passion, my honor secures her felicity.
Oh, come, Doricourt. You know very well that when the honor of a husband is a placeholder for his heart, his wife must be as indifferent as himself if she's not downright unhappy.
Fie. Never moralize without spectacles. But as we are upon the tender subject, how did you bear Touchwood's marrying Lady Frances?
You know I never looked up to her with hope. And Sir George is every way worthy of her.
À la mode anglaise. A philosopher, even in love.
Come, I detain you. You seem dressed at all points and, of course, have an engagement.
To St. James. I dine at Hardy's and accompany them to the masquerade in the evening. But breakfast with me tomorrow, and we'll talk of our old companions, for I swear to you, Saville, the air of the continent has not effaced one youthful prejudice or attachment.
With an exception to the case of ladies and servants.
True. There I plead guilty. But I have never yet found any man whom I could cordially take to my heart and call friend, who was not born beneath a British sky and whose heart and manners were not truly English.
God's my life, thou art a snobbish fellow.
Oh, and thou lovest me for it.
Yeah.
Villers, have you seen Mrs. Racket? Miss Hardy, I find, is out.
I have not seen her yet. A lady at her toilette is as difficult to be moved as a Quaker. What events have happened in the world since yesterday? Have you heard?
Oh, yes. I stopped at Tattersall's as I came by, and there I found Lord Henry Horner, Sir Wilful Whitwood, and Mr. Frank Forsyth. But now I think of it, you shan't know a syllable of the matter, for I have been informed you never believe above one half of what I say.
My dear fellow, somebody has imposed upon you most egregiously. Half? Why, I never believe 1/10 of what you say. But I never mind it neither. for your non-intelligence is always amusing.
That's very hard now. Very hard. I've never related a falsity in my life. Unless I stumbled on it by mistake, and if 'twere otherwise, you dull, matter-of-fact people are infinitely obliged to those warm imaginations which soar into fiction to amuse you, for the common events of this dirty world are positively not worth talking about unless you embellish them. Ah, here comes Mrs. Racket. Madam, in all your charms. Villers has been abusing your toilette for keeping you so long, but I think we are much obliged to it, and so are you.
How so? Pray. Good morning to you both.
How so? Because it has given you so many beauties.
Delightful compliment. What do you think of that, Villers?
That he and his compliments are alike. Showy, but won't bear examining. So, you brought Miss Hardy to town last night.
Yes, I should have brought her before, but I had a fall from my horse that confined me a week. I suppose in her heart she wished me hanged 12 times an hour.
Why?
Had she not a fashionable, well-traveled, expecting lover in town all the while? She meets him this morning at the lawyer's. I hope she'll charm him. She's the sweetest girl in the world.
Vanity, like murder, always reveals itself. You have convinced me you think yourself more charming.
How can that be?
No woman ever praises another unless she thinks herself superior in the very perfections she allows.
Nor no man ever rails at the sex unless he is conscious he deserves their hatred.
Thank you, Flutter. I'll owe you a bouquet for that. I am going to visit the new married Lady Frances Touchwood. Who knows her husband?
Everybody.
Is there not something odd in his character?
Nothing but that he is passionately fond of his wife, and so petulant is his love that he opened the cage of a favorite bullfinch and sent it to catch butterflies because she rewarded its song with her kisses.
Intolerable monster! Such a brute deserves some...
Nay, this is your sex now. Give a woman but one stroke of a man's character, and off she goes like a ball from a racket, marking him down for an angel or a devil, with no proof either way. This monster, this brute, is one of the worthiest fellows upon earth, with sound sense and a liberal mind. But he dotes on his wife to such excess that he quarrels with everything she admires and is jealous of her tippet and nosegay.
Oh, less love for me, kind Cupid. I can see no difference between the torment of such affection and hatred.
Inconceivable difference. Inconceivable. I see it as clearly as this portrait on the wall. Which reminds me, there was the ugliest painting sold yesterday at Langford's. The figures so ghastly misshapen, you would have sworn they had been painted by a blind man. Lord Belair bid 500. 6, said Lady Labassett. 1,000, said Sir Sampson. Down with the hammer.
Well, I protest, that's just the way. Sir Sampson outbids one at every sale, and the creature has such horrendous taste that...
There again, you forget this story is told by Flutter, who always remembers everything but the circumstances and the person he talks about. 'Twas Lord Belair who made the offer, and Sir Sampson who was outbid.
Egad, I believe you are right. Well, the story is as good one way as the other, you know. Good morning, madam. I am going to Mrs. Claremont's concert, and in my way back shall make my bow at Sir George's.
I'll venture every figure in your tailor's bill you make some blunder there.
Done! My tailor's bill has not been paid these 2 years. I'll be as silent as a guilty husband all the good long day, and you, Villers, shall be my debt relief.
'Tis a good-natured, insignificant creature, let in everywhere and cared for nowhere. Ah! There's Miss Hardy returned from Lincoln's Inn. She seems rather chagrined.
Then I leave you to your communications. Adieu, dear madam. I am rejoiced to see you so well, but I must tear myself away.
Don't vanish in a moment.
I dare not stay. You and Racket are two of the most dangerous women in London. Staying here to be cannonaded by 4 such eyes is equal to a clash with Washington's Minutemen. I'll be gone.
I must order Duquesne never to come again. He shall positively dress my hair no more. And this odious silk, how unbecoming it is. I was bewitched to choose it. Cousin, did you ever see such a fright as I am in today?
Yes, I have seen you look much worse.
A pox of thy tongue. If I do not look this morning worse than ever I looked in my life, I am naturally hideous. You shall have it which way you will.
Just as you please. But pray, what is the meaning of all this?
Men are all dissemblers, flatterers, deceivers.
19 years on earth as a woman, and she is only just discovering that.
Have I not heard 1,000 times of my wit, my eyes, my shape, all made for victory? And today, when I bent my whole heart on one poor conquest, I have proved that all those imputed charms amount to nothing. For Doricourt saw them unmoved. A husband of 15 months could not have examined me with more cunning indifference.
Then you return it like a wife of 15 months and be as indifferent as he.
Aye, there's the sting. The blooming boy who left his image in my young heart is at 26 improved in every grace that fixed him there. It is the same face that my memory and my dreams constantly painted to me, but its lines are finished and every beauty heightened. Oh, God, how mortifying to feel myself in the same moment his captive and an object of perfect irrelevance to him.
How are you certain that was the case? Did you expect him to kneel down before the lawyer, his clerks, and your father to make an oath of your beauty?
No, but he should have looked as if a sudden ray had pierced him. He should have been breathless and speechless, for, oh, Caroline, all this was I.
I am sorry you were such a fool. Can you expect a man who has courted and been courted by half the fine women in Europe to feel like a girl from a boarding school? He is the prettiest fellow you have seen and of course bewilders your imagination, but he has seen 1,000,000 of pretty women, child, before he saw you, and his first love has been over long ago.
Your raillery distresses me, but I will touch his heart or never be his wife.
Absurd and romantic! If you have no reason to believe his heart pre-engaged, be satisfied. If he is a man of honor, you'll have nothing to complain of.
Nothing to complain of? Heavens! Shall I marry the man I adore with such an expectation as that?
Well, now, wasn't I right? I, Letty, I, Cousin Racket, wasn't I right? I knew 'twould be so. Doricourt was all agog to see her before he went abroad, but if he had, he'd have thought no more of her face, maybe, than his own.
Maybe not half so much.
Aye, maybe so, but I see into things. Exactly as I foresaw, today he fell desperately in love with the wench.
Indeed, sir? How did you perceive it?
Oh, that's a pretty question. How do I perceive everything? How did I foresee the fall of corn and the rise of taxes? How did I know that if we quarrelled with America, Norway deals would be dearer? I have the way, that's all. But what the devil makes you so dull, Letitia? I thought to have found you popping about as brisk as the jacks of your harpsichord.
Surely 'tis a very serious occasion.
Oh, fie. Girls should never be grave before marriage.
Only after.
Gad, widow, you're one to talk. Come now, Letty, why so mournful? I begin to foresee that you've taken a dislike to Doricourt.
Indeed, sir, I have not.
Then what's all this melancholy about? Are you not going to be married? And what's more to a sensible man? And what's more to a handsome man? Then what's all this melancholy for, I say?
Why, because he is handsome and sensible, and because she's over head and ears in love with him, all which it seems your foreknowledge had not told you a word of.
Why, Caroline?
Well, come, do you tell me what's the matter then? If you don't like him, hang the signing and sealing, he shan't have you. But come, I say, what is the matter? Don't you like him?
I fear, sir, if I must speak, I fear I was less agreeable in Mr. Doricourt's eyes than he appeared in mine.
Oh, there you are mistaken, for I asked him, and he told me he liked you vastly. Don't you think he must have taken a fancy to her cousin?
Aye, if he knows what's good for him.
My dear father, I am convinced he has not. But if there is spirit or invention in woman, he shall. For a plan has struck me, if you will not oppose it, which flatters me with brilliant success.
Oppose it? Not I, indeed. What is it?
Why, sir, it may seem a little paradoxical, but as he does not like me enough, I want him to like me still less, and will, at our next interview, endeavor to heighten his indifference into dislike.
Why, who could have foreseen this?
Heaven and earth. Letitia, are you serious?
As serious as the most important business of my life demands.
Why endeavor to make him dislike you?
Because 'tis so much easier to convert a sentiment into its opposite than to transform indifference into tender passion.
That may be a good philosophy, but I am afraid you'll find it a bad maxim.
Nah! I have the strongest confidence in it. I am inspired with unusual spirits, and on this hazard willingly stake my chance for happiness. I am impatient to begin my measures.
Can you foresee the end of this, cousin?
No, cousin, nothing less than your perception can do that, I am sure. And I can't stay now to consider it. I am going to call on the Ogles and then to Lady Frances Touchwoods, but I shall be at home time enough to witness this extraordinary interview. Goodbye.
Well, 'tis an odd thing. I can't understand it. But I foresee Letty will have her way, and so I shan't give myself the trouble to dispute it.
Married? You? Sir George, whom I heard in Paris say such things of the sex as would make an orange woman blush, are in London a married man.
The sex is still what it ever has been since La Petite Morale banished substantial virtues. And rather than have given my name to one of your fashionable dames, I'd have crossed the line in a fire ship and married a wild boar.
Yet you have married an English beauty. Yea, and a beauty born in high life.
True. But she has a simplicity of heart and manners as would put a celibate to sleep.
Why, thou art a matrimonial Quixote. My life on it, your wife becomes as mere a town lady in 6 months as though she had been bred to the trade. Now, enough chatter. Introduce me to this phoenix. I came here for the purpose.
Introduce?
Huh?
Oh, aye, to be sure. Yet I believe Lady Frances is engaged just now. But another time. How handsome the dog looks today.
Another time? But I have no other time. Stat, this is the only hour I can command this fortnight.
I'm glad to hear it with all my soul. Oh, so then you can't dine with us today? Oh, that's very unlucky.
Oh, yes, to dinner? Yes, I believe, contrive to dine with you today.
I didn't think on what I was saying. I meant supper. You can't sup with us.
Why, supper will be rather more convenient than dinner. But you are fortunate. If you had asked me any other night, I could not have come.
Tonight? Oh, God, now I recollect. We are particularly engaged tonight. But tomorrow night...
Why, look you, Sir George. 'Tis very plain you have no inclination to let me see your wife, so here I sit. There's my hat, and here are my legs. Now, I shan't stir till I have seen her, and I have no engagements. I'll breakfast, dine, and sup with you every day this week.
How can you be so provoking?
Huh. Were my father yet living, he would tell you 'tis my only skill.
Now, to be plain with you, Doricourt, I and my house are at your service. But you are a damned agreeable fellow, and 10 years younger than I am, and the women, I observe, always simper when you appear. For these reasons, I'd rather, when Lady Frances and I are together, that you should forget we are acquainted further than a nod, a smile, or a how'd you do.
Very well.
Besides, if you are intimate here, you'll make my house still the more fashionable than it is. And it is already so much that we are overrun with callers. I married Lady Frances to engross her to myself, yet such is the blessed freedom of modern manners that her eyes, thoughts, and conversation are continually divided amongst all the flirts and coxcombs in town.
To be sure, that kind of freedom is carried too far. 'Tis hard. One can't have a jewel in one's cabinet, but the whole town must be gratified with its luster.
Well, that's reasonably said.
Now, where's your wife?
Impudent scoundrel, I tell thee!
Sir, my lady desires...
I am particularly engaged!
Lord, that shall be no excuse in the world. Lead the way, Gibson. I'll attend your lady.
What devil possessed me to talk about her? Wait! Doricourt! Come back! Doricourt! Doricourt!
Acquaint your lady that Mrs. Racket and Miss Ogle are here.
I shall hardly know Lady Frances. 'Tis so long since I was in Shropshire.
And I'll be sworn you never saw her out of Shropshire. Her father kept her locked up with his caterpillars and shells and loved her beyond anything but a blue butterfly and a petrified frog.
Well, 'twas a cheap way of breeding her. But for all his whimsy, the man raised an enviable daughter, and the proof is that Sir George thinks his wife a most extraordinary creature. He has taught her to despise everything like fashionable life, and boasts that example will have no effect on her.
There's a great degree of impertinence and all that. I'll try to make her a fine lady to humble him.
That's just the thing I wish.
I beg 10,000 pardons, my dear Mrs. Racket. Miss Ogle, I rejoice to see you. I should have come to you sooner, but I was detained in conversation by Mr. Doricourt.
Pray, make no apology. I am quite happy that we have your ladyship in town at last. What stay do you make?
A short one, alas. Sir George talks with regret of the countryside we have left, and as the ceremony of presentation is over, will, I think, soon return.
Sure, he can't be so cruel. Does your ladyship wish to return so soon?
I have not the habit of consulting my own wishes, but I think, if they decide, we shall not return immediately. I have hardly yet formed an idea of London.
I shall quarrel with your lord and master if he dares think of depriving us of you so soon. How do you dispose of yourself today?
Sir George is going with me to the mercer's to choose a silk, and...
Choose a silk for you? Sir George chooses your laces too, I hope, your gloves and your pincushions.
Yes?
You are very young, my lady, and have been brought up in solitude. The maxims you learnt amongst the wood nymphs in Shropshire won't pass current here, I assure you.
Oh, why, my dear creature, you look quite frightened. Come, You shall go with us to an exhibition and an auction. Afterwards, we'll take a turn in the park and then drive to Kensington, so we shall be at home by 4 to dress. And in the evening, I'll attend you to Lady Brilliant's masquerade.
I shall be very happy to be of your party if Sir George has no engagements.
What? Do you stand so low in your own opinion that you dare not trust yourself without Sir George? If you choose to play Darby and Joan, my dear, you should have stayed in the country.
I suppose you and he would be seen promenading round the canal, arm in arm, and then go lovingly into the same carriage, dine a tete-a-tete, spend the evening at piquet, and so go soberly to bed at 11. Such a snug a plan made you for an attorney and his wife, but for Lady Frances Touchwood, 'tis as unsuitable as linsey woolsey or a black bonnet at the festino.
These are rather new doctrines to me, but my dear Mrs. Racket, you and Miss Ogle must judge of these things better than I can. As you observe, I am but young and may have caught absurd opinions. Here is Sir George.
Death, another roomful.
My love, Mrs. Racket and Miss Ogle.
Give you joy, Sir George. We came to rob you of Lady Frances for a few hours.
A few hours?
Oh yes, I am going to an exhibition and an auction and the park and Kensington and 1,000 places. It is quite ridiculous, I find, for married people to always be together. We shall be laughed at.
I am astonished. Mrs. Racket, what does the dear creature mean?
Mean, Sir George? What she says, I imagine.
Why, you know, sir, as Lady Frances had the misfortune to be bred entirely in the country, she cannot be supposed to be versed in fashionable life.
No, and heaven forbid she should. If she had, madam, she would never have been my wife.
Are you serious?
Perfectly so. I should never have had the courage to have married a fine lady.
Pray, sir, what do you take a fine lady to be, that you express such fear of her?
A being easily described, madam, as she is seen everywhere but in her own house. To her mind, every sentiment gives place to the lust of conquest and the vanity of being particular. The feelings of wife and mother are lost in the whirl of dissipation. If she continues virtuous, 'tis by chance. And if she perseveres in keeping her husband from ruin, 'tis by her dexterity at the card table. Such a woman I take to be a perfect fine lady.
And you I take to be a slanderous cynic of 6 and 30. 20 years hence, one might have forgiven such a libel. No, sir. Hear my definition of a fine lady. She is a creature for whom nature has done much and education more. She has taste, elegance, spirit, understanding. In her manner, she is free. In her morals, nice. Pleasure follows wherever she appears, and the kindest wishes attend her slumbers. Make haste, my dear Lady Frances, and commence, fine lady, and force your husband to acknowledge the justness of my picture.
I am sure 'tis a delightful one. How can you dislike it, Sir George? You painted fashionable life in colors so disgusting that I thought I hated it, but on a nearer view, it seems charming. I have hitherto lived in obscurity. 'Tis time that I should be a woman of the world. I long to begin. My heart pants with expectation and delight.
Come then, let us begin directly. I am impatient to introduce you to that society which you were born to ornament and charm.
Adieu, my love. We shall meet again at dinner.
Sure I'm in a dream. Frances!
Sir George?
Will you go without me?
What a pathetic address. Surely you would not always be seen side by side like 2 beans upon a stalk. Are you afraid to trust Lady Frances with me, sir?
Heaven and earth, with whom can a man trust his wife in the present state of the world?
Sir George, I see, languishes for the charming society of a century and a half ago, when a grave squire and his grave wife, surrounded by a sober family, formed a stiff circle to whisper prayers in a moldy old house in the corner of a park.
Delightful serenity. undisturbed by any noise but the quarterly rumbling of an old family coach on a state visit, with the happy intervention of a friendly call from the curate's wife.
Evie, of course, with her 17th child.
Of course.
And what is the society of which you boast? A mere chaos, in which all distinction of rank is lost in a ridiculous affectation of ease, and every different order of beings huddled together as they were before creation. In the same party, you will often find the wife of a bishop and a sharper, of an earl and a fiddler. In short, 'tis one universal masquerade, all disguised in the same habits and manners.
Mr. Flutter.
Here comes an illustration. Now, I defy you to tell from his appearance whether Flutter is a privy councillor or a mercer, a lawyer or a grocer's apprentice.
Oh, whichever you please, Sir George, so long as you don't make me a Lord Mayor. Mrs. Racket, Lady Frances, your most obedient servant. You look... Now, hang me if that's not provoking. Had your gown been of another color, I would have said the prettiest thing you had ever heard in your life.
Pray, give it us.
I was yesterday at Mrs. Wishfort's, where the lady was dressed all in green, no other color to be seen but that of her face and bosom. So, says I, my dear Mrs. Wishfort, you look like a carnation, just bursting from its pod.
And what said her husband?
Her husband, he laughed and said a cucumber would have been a happier simile.
But there are husbands, sir, who would rather have corrected your comparison. I, for instance, should consider a man's complimenting my wife as an impertinence.
Why? What harm can there be in compliments? Sure, they are not infectious. And if they were, you, Sir George, of all people breathing, have reason to be satisfied about your lady's attachment. Everybody talks of it. That little bird that she killed out of jealousy? The most extraordinary instance of affection that ever was given.
I kill a bird through jealousy? Heavens, Mr. Flutter, how can you impute such a cruelty to me?
I could have forgiven you if you had.
Oh, what a blundering fool. No, now I remember. 'Twas your bird, Lady Frances, that's it, your bullfinch, which Sir George, in one of the refinements of his passion, sent into the wide world. He took it for a rival to your affections. Ha!
Is it possible? Oh, Sir George, could I have imagined it was you who deprived me of that creature I was so fond of?
Mr. Flutter, you are one of those busy, idle, meddling people who, from mere vacuity of mind, are the most dangerous inmates in a family. You have neither feelings nor opinions of your own, but like a glass in a tavern, bear about those of every blockhead who gives you his.
Vacuity of mind, what was next? I'll write down this sermon. 'Tis the first I have heard since my grandmother's funeral.
Come, Lady Frances. You see what a cruel creature your loving husband can be, so let us leave him.
Madam, Lady Frances shall not go.
Shall not, Sir George. This is the first time that such an expression.
My love, my life!
Don't imagine I'll be treated like a child, denied what I wish, and then pacified with sweet words. I see plainly you would deprive me of every pleasure, as well as of my sweet bird, out of pure love? Barbarous man.
'Tis well, madam. Your resentment of that circumstance proves to me what I long suspected, that you are deficient both in tenderness and understanding. Tremble to think the hour approaches in which you would give worlds for such a proof of my love. You have lost both my dotage and my protection.
Lord, what a fine thing it is to have the gift of speech. I suppose Sir George practices in the mirror every morning. 'Tis the only explanation.
He is really angry. I cannot go.
Not go? Foolish creature. You are arrived at the moment which sometime or other was sure to happen, and everything depends on the use you make of it.
Come, Lady Frances, don't hesitate. The minutes are precious.
I could find it in my heart. And yet, I won't give up, neither. If I should surrender to his will in this instance, he'll expect it forever.
Now you act like a woman of spirit. Come, let's away.
A fair tug, by Jupiter, between duty and pleasure. The pleasure beats, and off we go. Alonzi, etc.
Very well, very well. This morning will be devoted to curiosity. My sail begins tomorrow at 11. But, Mrs. Fagg, if you do no better than you did in Lord Languish's sail, I shall discharge you. You want a knack terribly, and this dress. Why, nobody can mistake you for a gentlewoman.
Very true, Mr. Silvertongue, but I can't dress like a lady upon half a crown a day, as the saying is. If you want me to dress like a lady, you must double my pay. Double or quits, Mr. Silvertongue.
5 shillings a day? What a demand! Why, 'tis the pay of a lieutenant in a marching regiment, who keeps a servant, a mistress, a horse, fights, dresses, gossips, makes love, and dies upon 5 shillings a day.
Quite right. A soldier should not be too fond of life, and forcing him to do all these things upon 5 shillings a day is the readiest way to make him tired of it.
Hey there, Mr. Silvertongue. What, nobody here?
Oh, my lady, we shall have company enough in a trice if your carriage is seen at my door. No other will pass it, I'm sure.
A familiar monster? That's a beautiful Diana, Mrs. Fagg, but in the name of wonder, how came Actaeon to be placed on the top of a house?
That's a David and Bathsheba, madam.
Oh, I crave their pardon. I remember the names, but know nothing of the story.
Was not that Lady Frances Touchwood coming up with Miss Ogle?
I think so. Yes. Yes, it is. Faith. Let us go nearer.
Yes, sir. This is to be the first lot, the model of a city in wax.
The model of a city? What city?
That I have not been able to discover, sir, but call it Paris, Rome, London, 'tis still a city. You'll find in it the same jarring interests, the same passions, the same virtues, the same vices, whatever the name.
I wish Sir George were here. This man follows me about and stares at me in such a way that I am quite uneasy.
He has traveled and is heir to an immense estate, so he's impertinent by nature.
You are very cruel, ladies. Miss Ogle, you will not let me speak to you. As to this little scornful beauty, she has frowned me dead 50 times.
Sir, I am a married woman.
'Twould be a shame if one so beautiful were not. When I look at you, I see a Daphne just come from her sheep and crook. Pray now, who is the happy Damon to whom you have vowed eternal truth and constancy?
'Tis Lady Frances Touchwood, Mr. Cordall, to whom you are speaking.
Lady Frances. By heaven, that's Saville's old flame. I beg your ladyship's pardon. I ought to have believed that such beauty could belong only to your name, a name I have long been enamored of, because I knew it to be that of the finest woman in the world.
My dear Mrs. Racket, I am so frightened. Here's a man making love to me, though he knows I am married.
It was inevitable, my dear. You must pay him no mind. Were you at the casino last night, Mr. Cordall?
I looked in, but 'twas impossible to stay. Nobody there but antiques. You'll be at Lady Brilliant's tonight.
Yes, I go with Lady Frances.
Oh, bless me. I did not know this gentleman was acquainted with Mrs. Racket. I behaved so rude to him.
Come, madam, 'tis past 1. I protest if we don't fly to Kensington, we shan't find a soul there.
Won't this gentleman go with us?
To be sure. You make me happy, madam, beyond description.
Never mind him, he'll follow.
Lady Touchwood with a vengeance. But 'tis always so. Your reserved ladies are all like ice. No sooner begin to soften than they melt.
Come, prepare, your lover is coming.
My lover? Confess now that my absence at dinner was a severe mortification to him.
I can't absolutely swear it spoiled his appetite. He ate as if he were hungry and drank his wine as though he liked it.
What was the apology?
That you were ill. But I gave a hint that your extreme bashfulness could not support his eye.
If I comprehend him, awkwardness and bashfulness are the last faults he can pardon in a woman. So expect to see me transformed into the veriest mawkin.
You persevere, then?
Certainly. I know the design is a rash one, and the event important. It either makes Doricourt mine by all the tenderest ties of passion, or it deprives me of him forever. And never to be his wife will afflict me less than to be his wife and not be beloved.
So you won't trust the good old maxim, marry first and love will follow?
As readily as I would gamble my last guinea that good fortune might follow. The woman that has not touched the heart of a man before he leads her to the altar has scarcely a chance to charm it when possession and security turn their powerful arms against her. But here he comes. I'll disappear for a moment. Don't spare me, cuz. Don't spare me!
Oh, here's a fine portrait. My mistress, I presume. Ma foi. The painter has hit her off. The downcast eye, the blushing cheek. Timid, apprehensive, bashful. A tear and a prayer book would have made her La Bella Magdalena. Give me a woman in whose touching mien a mind, a soul, a polished art is seen, whose motion speaks, whose poignant air can move. Such are the darts to wound with endless love.
Is that an impromptu?
Ah!
'Tis a fine poem, sir. Can you swear it was not rehearsed?
Not absolutely. It struck me during the dessert as a motto for your beauty.
Gallantly turned. But I perceive, Mr. Doricourt, that Miss Hardy's charms have made no violent impression on you. And who can wonder, the poor girl's defects are so obvious.
Defects?
Merely those of education. Her father's indulgence ruined her. Falsa modestia, conceit, and ignorance all unite in the lady you are to marry.
What? Your picture, I hope, is overcharged. I marry conceit and ignorance?
Thank your stars that ugliness and ill temper are not added to the list. You must think her handsome.
Half her personal beauty would content me. But could the Medicean Venus be animated for me and endowed with a vulgar soul? I should become the statue and my heart transformed to marble.
Bless us, we are in a hopeful way then. Oh, here comes the young lady.
Do you know the hour, John? Oh, God! Your heart. I didn't see you, sir.
Fie, Letitia. Mr. Doricourt thinks you a woman of elegant manners. Stand forward and confirm his opinion.
No! Keep me. He's my sweetheart, and 'tis impudent to look one's sweetheart in the face, you know.
You looked at him this morning.
Only for a moment. And that glimpse of his jawline was enough to ruin my composure. Oh, a plague on him! I am uncomposed!
I am astonished.
Well, hang it, I'll take heart. Why, he's but a man, you know, cousin, and I'll let him see I wasn't born in a wood to be scared by an owl. You have been a great traveler, sir, I hear.
Yes, madam?
Then I wish you'd tell me about them fine sights you saw when you went overseas. I have read in a book that there are some countries where the men and women are all horses. Did you see any of them?
Mr. Doricourt is not prepared, my dear, for these inquiries. He is reflecting on the importance of the question and will answer you when he can.
When he can? Why, he's as slow in speech as Aunt Marjorie when she's reading Thomas Aquinas and stands gaping like a puppet with no master.
Have a little discretion.
Hold your tongue. Sure, I may say what I please before I am married if I can't afterwards. Do you think I have no idea how to talk to a sweetheart? He is not the first I have had.
Indeed?
Oh, Lord, he speaks. Well, if you must know, there was the curate at home. When Papa was a-hunting, he used to come a suitoring and make speeches to me out of books and call me Venus and Juno and Dina.
And pray, fair lady, how did you answer him?
Well, I used to say, look you, Mr. Curate, don't think to come over me with your flim-flams, for a better man than ever trod in your shoes is coming overseas to marry me. But in fact, I began to think I was out. Parson Dobbins was the spratfuller man of the two.
Surely this cannot be Miss Hardy.
Lies! Why, don't you know me? You saw me today. But I was daunted before my father and the lawyer and all them and did not care to speak out. So maybe you thought I couldn't. But I can talk as fast as anybody when I know folks a little. And now that I have shown my parts, I hope you'll like me better.
I foresee this won't do. Mr. Doricourt, maybe you take my daughter for a fool, but you're mistaken. She's as sensible a girl as any in England.
I am convinced she has a very uncommon understanding, sir. I did not think the old man had been such an ass.
My father will undo the whole scheme. Lies, Papa! How can you think he can take me for a fool when everybody knows I beat the apothecary at Conundrums last Christmas time?
For shame, Letty, how can you undo yourself? I tell you, sir, that for all that, she's definitely sensible.
Sir, I give all possible credit to your assertions.
Papa, do you come along? If you stand watching, how can my sweetheart break his mind and tell me how he admires me?
Yeah, that would be difficult indeed, madam.
I tell you, Letty, I'll have no more of this. I see well enough what it is that...
Papa, don't snub me before my husband. You'll teach him to snub me too, and I believe by his looks he'd like to begin now. So, let's go, cousin. You may tell the gentleman what a genius I have, how I can cut watch papers and work catgut, make quadro baskets with pins, and take profiles in shade as well as the lady at number 62 South Moulton Street, Grosvenor Square.
I said, come away, young lady, come away.
Well, Mr. Doricourt, you are as rapt as I found you standing before Miss Hardy's portrait. Tell me, how does the lady strike you now?
Like a good design, spoiled by the incapacity of the artist. Her faults are obviously the result of her father's weak indulgence. Yet, I thought I observed an expression in her eye that seemed to satirize the folly of her lips.
Well, alas, at her age when education is fixed and manner becomes nature, any hopes of improvement would...
As rational as hopes of gold from a beggar's pockets. Yes, madam. I used to argue my future wife must be incapable of improvement, and now I see divine justice has been served, for I have got my wish. The girl is past cure. I shall certainly set off for the other world tonight, and my mode of travel deserves consideration, so I make my adieus.
Oh, Oh, but I entreat you, postpone your journey till tomorrow. You must be this night at the masquerade.
Oh, masquerade.
Well, why not? If you resolve to visit the other world, you may as well take one last night's pleasure in this one.
Faith, that's very true. Ladies are the best philosophers after all. Expect me at the masquerade.
He's a charming fellow. Would to God he were less aware of it.
What, is Doricourt gone?
Yes, and I am glad he is. You would have ruined us. Now, I beg, Mr. Hardy, you won't interfere in this business. It's a little out of your sphere.
Hang me if I don't, though. I foresee very clearly what will be the end of it if I leave you to yourselves. So I'll even follow him to the masquerade and tell him all about it. Now, let me see, what shall my dress be? A great mogul? No. A grenadier? No, that I foresee would make a laugh. Egad, one must choose one's mask carefully these days. A shoddy counterfeit can be as perilous to a man's reputation as perfect candor. The one invites ridicule, the other, disdain.
Nay, you shan't go yet. Another catch, Flutter, another bottle.
May I be a bottle, and an empty bottle, if you catch me at that. Why, I am going to the masquerade, Mrs. Raccoon? You know who I mean. She is to meet me, and we are to have a leap at the new lusters.
And I'm going to a harlequin. Am I not in a pretty pickle to make harlequinades? And Tony here, he is going in the disguise of a gentleman.
We're all very disguised. So bid them draw up. Do you hear? Come, sir.
Thy skull, Cordal, is a lady's thimble. No, an eggshell.
Nay, then you are gone too. You never aspire to similes, but in your cups.
No, I am steady enough, but the fumes of the wine pass directly through thy eggshell and leave thy brain as cool as... See? I'm quite sober. My similes fail me.
Then we'll sit down here and have one sober bottle. Bring a table and glasses.
I'll not swallow another drop.
Fie, by the bright eyes of her you love, you shall drink her health.
Her I love is gone. She's married.
Then bless your stars, you are not her husband. I would be husband to no woman in Europe who is not devilish rich and devilish ugly.
What for ugly?
Because she could not have the conscience to demand those attentions that a pretty wife expects. Or if she should, her resentments would be perfectly easy to me. Nobody would undertake to revenge her cause.
Thou art a most licentious fellow.
I should hate my own wife, that's certain. But I have a warm heart for those of other people. And so here's to the prettiest wife in England, Lady Frances Touchwood.
Lady Frances Touchwood. How the devil came Lady Frances in your head? I never knew you to toast a woman of chastity before.
That's odd, for you've heard me toast half the women in England. But pray now, what do you take a woman of chastity to be?
Such a woman as Lady Frances Touchwood, sir.
Oh, you are grave, sir. Now I remember, you were an adorer of hers. Why didn't you marry her?
I had not the arrogance to look so high. Had my fortune been worthy of her, she should not have been ignorant of my admiration.
Precious fellow. Then you would not dare tell her now that you admire her.
No! Nor you.
By the Lord, I have told her so.
Have? Impossible.
Is it?
How did she receive the declaration?
Why, in the old way, blushed and frowned and said she was married.
God, what amazing things thou art capable of. I could have more easily taken the Pope by the beard than to have profaned her ears with such a declaration.
I shall meet her at Lady Brilliant's tonight, where I shall repeat it. And I'll lay my life that under a mask she'll hear it all without blush or frown.
No, 'tis false, sir, she won't.
She will! Nay, I'd venture to lay around some that I prevail on her to go out with me. Only to taste the fresh air, I mean.
Preposterous vanity! From this moment, I suspect that half the victories you have boasted are as false and slanderous as your pretended influence with Lady Frances.
Pretended? Yeah. How should such a fellow as you, who never soared beyond the cherry-cheeked daughter of an innkeeper at Lichfield, judge of the influence of a man in my figure and fortune? I could show thee a list of names would shake thy faith in the whole sex, and to that list I have no doubt of adding the name of Lady Frances.
My ears cannot bear the profanation. You cannot, no, dare not approach her. For your soul, you dare not mention love to her. Her look would freeze the word whilst it hovered on thy lips.
Well, we shall see. This evening, by Jupiter, the trial shall be made. If I fail, I fail.
I think thou darest not. But my life, my honor on her purity.
Hot-headed fool! But since he has brought it to this point, by God, I'll try what can be done with her ladyship. She's frostwork and the prejudices of education, yet strong, so it must be by other arts. Dick!
Sir?
Do you know any of the servants at Sir George Touchwood's?
Yes, sir. I knows the groom, and one of the housemaids is my cousin.
Do you know Sir George's valet, Gibson?
No, sir, but Sally is very thick with him.
Then go there directly and employ Sally to discover whether her master goes to Lady Brilliant's tonight, this evening, and if he does, the name of the shop that sold his habit.
Yes, sir.
Be exact in your intelligence and come to me at the mercer's. If I can't otherwise succeed, I'll beguile her, as Jove did Alcmena, in the shape of her husband. The possession of so fine a woman and the triumph over Saville are each a sufficient motive. United, they shall be resistless.
Oh, the air has recovered me. Oh, what have I been doing? Perhaps my petulance may be the cause of her ruin, whose honor I asserted. But his vanity is piqued, and where women are concerned, Cordall can be a villain. Ah, that's his servant. Dick!
Sir?
Where are you going, Dick?
Going? I'm going, sir, where my master sent me.
Well answered. But I have a particular reason for my inquiry, and you must tell me.
Why, then, sir, I'm going to call upon a cousin of mine that lives at Sir George Touchwood's.
Very well. There. Take 3 shillings. You must make your cousin drink my health. What are you going about?
Well, sir, I believe 'tis no harm, else I'm sure I would not blab. I'm only going to ask if Sir George goes to the masquerade tonight and what dress he wears.
Here's an artful scheme. Now, Dick, if you will call at my lodgings in your way back and acquaint me with your cousin's intelligence, I'll double the trifle I have given you.
Bless your honor, sir. I'll call, never fear, and tell you everything he says.
And, as you value your life, be secret.
For shame, Sir George, you've left your wife in tears. How can you afflict her?
'Tis I that am afflicted. My dream of happiness is over. Lady Frances and I are disunited.
The devil? Why, you've been in town but 10 days. Even a lady as beautiful as your wife cannot have secured a lover so expediently.
'Tis our minds that are disunited. She no longer places her whole delight in me. She has yielded herself up to the world.
The world? What has the poor world done? 12 months since, you were the rampantest fellow in it. If anybody asked, who dresses best? Sir George Touchwood. Who is the most gallant man? Sir George Touchwood. Who is the most wedded to amusement and dissipation? Sir George Touchwood. And now, Sir George Touchwood is metamorphosed into a sour censor and denounces fashionable life with the righteousness of a pamphleteer.
The moment I became possessed of such a jewel as Lady Frances, everything wore a different complexion. That society in which I lived with so much eclat became as odious as a pest house. My wife is already infected. She was set upon this morning by maids, widows, and bachelors who carried her off in triumph, in spite of my displeasure.
Well, here she comes then, to make apology. I'll leave you, sir. Matrimonial duets are seldom played in the style I like.
Sweet sorrow that glitters in these eyes I cannot bear. Look cheerfully, you rogue.
I cannot look otherwise, if you are pleased with me.
Well, Fanny, today you made your entrée in the fashionable world. Tell me honestly the impressions you received.
Indeed, Sir George? I was so hurried from place to place that I had not time to find out what my impressions were.
That's the very spirit of the life you have chosen.
Everybody about me seemed happy, but everybody seemed in a hurry to be happy somewhere else.
And you like this?
I like adventure, and London strikes me as a never-ending one. Apropos de botte, mon cher, you have not promised to go with me to the masquerade.
'Twould be a shocking indecorum to be seen together, you know.
Oh no. I asked Mrs. Racket, and she told me we might be seen together at the masquerade without being laughed at.
Really?
Indeed. To tell you the truth, I could wish it were the fashion for married people to be inseparable. For I have more heartfelt satisfaction in 15 minutes with you at my side than 15 days of amusement could give me without you. You are all that could make London more thrilling than it is.
My sweet creature, how that confession charms me. Let us begin the fashion.
Your Honor I thought about going to the masquerade.
Well,
Hasn't Your Honor? I thought Your Honor had forgot to order a dress.
Well considered, Gibson. Come, will you be fop, saint, or demigod? An emperor, or a ballad singer, or a rake, or a watchman?
Oh, neither, my love. I can't take the trouble to support a character.
You'll wear a domino then. I saw a pink domino trimmed with blue at the shop where I bought my habit. Would you like it?
Anything, anything.
Then go about it directly, Gibson. A pink domino trimmed with blue and a hat of the same. Come, husband. You have not seen my dress yet. It is most beautiful. I long to have it on.
A pink domino trimmed with blue and a hat of the same. What the devil can it signify to Sally now what his dress is to be? Nevertheless, I'll tell her. We must do as the women command.
Why, isn't it a shame to see so many stout, well-built young fellows masquerading and cutting carantas here at home, instead of making the French cut capers to the tune of your cannon, or sweating the Spaniards with an English fandango? I foresee the end of all this. Ah, there's Cousin Racket and her party. They shan't know me.
Look at this dumpling. He must be a Roman by his bedsheet. You have surely practiced the flesh hook a long time, friend, to have raised that goodly presence.
About as long, my brisk widow, as you've been angling for a second husband. But my hook has been better baited than yours. You've only caught gudgeons, I see.
Oh, this is one of the geniuses they hire to entertain the company with their accidental sallies. Let me look at your commonplace book, friend. I want a few good things.
I'd oblige you, sir, but you'll spoil them in repeating. Or if you should not, they'll gain you no reputation, for nobody will believe they are your own.
He knows you, Flutter. The little gentleman fancies himself a wit, I see.
Oh, there's no depending on what you see. The eyes of the jealous are not to be trusted. Look to your lady.
He knows you, Sir George.
I can see neither Doricourt nor Letty. I must find them out.
Well, Lady Frances, is not all this charming? Could you have conceived such a brilliant assemblage of objects?
Oh, delightful. The days of enchantment are restored. The columns glow with sapphires and rubies. Emperors and fairies, beauties and goblins meet me with every step.
How lively are first impressions on sensible minds. In 4 hours, vapidity and languor will take place of that sense of joy which flutters in your little heart.
What an inhuman creature. Fate has not allowed us these sensations above 10 times in our lives, and would you have us shorten them by anticipation?
Oh, Lord, your wise men are the greatest fools upon earth. They reason about their enjoyments and analyze their pleasures whilst the essence escapes. Look, Lady Frances, do you see that figure strutting in the dress of an emperor? His father retails oranges in Botolph Lane. That gypsy is a maid of honor, and that ragman a physician.
Oh, why, you know everybody.
Oh, every creature. A mask is nothing at all to me. I can give you the history of half the people here.
A history lesson by the world's greatest liar? I should like that very much.
Honor me with your arm.
Come, Sir George, you shall be my beau. We'll make the tour of the rooms and meet them. Oh, no, your pardon, sir. You and your jealousy must follow Lady Frances, or the fine parts of Mr. Flutter may drive you out of her head.
I was going to follow her, and now I dare not. How can I be such a fool as to be governed by the fear of that ridicule which I despise? Ah!
Oh, my lord, I thought you had been engaged at Westminster on this important night.
So I am, sir. I slipped out as soon as Lord Roverhead got upon his legs. I can badinage here an hour or two and be back again before he is down. There's a fine figure. I'll address her. Charity, fair lady. Charity for a poor pilgrim.
Charity, if you mean my prayers, heaven grant thee wit, pilgrim.
Ugh, that blessing would do from a nun. From you, I ask other charities, such charities as beauty should bestow, soft looks, sweet words, and kind wishes.
Alas, I am bankrupt of these and forced to turn beggar myself. There he is. How shall I catch his attention?
Will you grant me no favor?
Yes! One, I'll make you my partner. Not for life, but through the soft mazes of a minuet. Dare you dance?
Some spirit in that.
I dare do anything you command.
Do you know her, my lord?
No, and that's the beauty of it. My wife cannot be jealous of a stranger.
Oh, she dances divinely. Somebody must know her. I'll inquire who she is.
I've seen Cordall in Sir George's habit, though he endeavored to keep himself concealed. Go, Kitty, and seat yourself in the tea room, and on no account discover your face. Remember, too, that the woman you are to personate is a woman of virtue.
I am afraid I shall find that a difficult character. Indeed, I believe it is seldom kept up through a whole masquerade.
Yeah, of that, you can be no judge. Follow my directions, and you shall be rewarded.
Ha! Saville! Did you see a lady dance just now?
No.
Very odd. Nobody knows her.
Where's Miss Hardy?
Oh. Cutting watch papers and making conundrums, I suppose.
What do you mean?
Faith, I hardly know. She's not here, however. Mrs. Racket tells me. I asked no further.
Your indifference seems increased.
Quite the reverse. 'Tis advanced 32 degrees towards hatred.
Oh, you were jesting.
And it must be with a very ill grace, my dear Saville, for I never felt so seriously. Do you know the creature's almost an idiot?
What?
An idiot. What the devil shall I do with her? Egad, I think I'll feign myself mad, and then Hardy will propose to cancel the engagement.
An excellent expedient.
Oh, you placate me.
Only a little. But I must leave you, for you are mysterious, and I haven't the leisure to stay and unravel you. I came here to watch over innocence and beauty.
Oh, the guardian of innocence and beauty at 6 and 20. Is there not a cloven foot on that black gown, Saville?
No, Faith. Cordall is here on a most detestable design. I found means to get a knowledge of the lady's dress and have brought a girl to personate her whose reputation cannot be hurt. You shall know the result tomorrow. Adieu.
Yes, I think that will do. I'll feign myself mad, see the doctor to pronounce me incurable, and when the parchments of betrothal are destroyed...
He was a piper's son. He learned to play when he was young. The only tune that he could play was over the hills and far away. Over the hills and a long way off, the wind shall blow my top knot off.
By heaven, that same sweet creature.
Now Tom with his pipe made such a noise that he pleased both the girls and boys, and they did dance when he did play. Over the hills and far away, over the hills and a long way off, the wind shall blow my top knot off.
Pray, Mrs. Racket, do you know her?
Who?
The angel singing, of course.
angel, sir. Her wings are satin, I assure ye, stitched together by the shriveled old hand of Mrs. Parker the seamstress.
But dost know her name?
Not I. Yet, I fancy the lady knows it. You were better ask her yourself.
Now Tom did play with such a skill that those nearby could not stand still, and over all head of they did dance, down through England, Spain, and France, over the hills and a long way off, the wind shall blow my top knot off. You have chosen an odd situation for study, sir. Fashion and taste preside in this spot, you see. 10,000 delights spring up at their command, but you, a stoic, are wrapped in reflection.
And you, the most charming being in the world, awake me to admiration. Did you come from the stars?
Yes, and I shall reascend in a moment.
Pray show me your face before you go.
Beware of imprudent curiosity. It lost paradise.
Eve's curiosity was raised by the devil. 'Tis an angel tempts mine. So your illusion is not in point.
But why would you see my face?
To fall in love with it?
And what then, sir?
Why then, I curse it, there's the rub.
Your mistress will be angry, but perhaps you have no mistress?
Yes, and a sweet one it is.
What? Is she old?
No.
Ugly?
No.
What then?
Fine, don't talk about her, but show me your face.
My vanity forbids it. 'Twould frighten you.
Impossible. Your shape is graceful, your air bewitching, and your chin would tempt me to kiss it if I did not see a pouting red lip above it that demands.
You grow too free.
Show me your face then. Only half a glance.
Not for worlds.
Would you have me show it for you?
Oh! I am gone forever.
'Tis false. I'll follow to the end.
How can you be thus interested for a stranger?
Oh, goodness will ever interest. Its home is heaven on earth. 'Tis but a wanderer. Imprudent lady, why have you left the side of your protector? Where is your husband?
Why? What's that to him?
Well, surely it can't merely be his habit. There's something in him that awes me.
'Tis only his gray beard. I know this charlatan, madam. He keeps a lottery office on Cornhill.
my province as an enchanter lays open every secret to me. Lady, there are dangers abroad. Beware.
Oh, 'tis very odd. His manners made me tremble. Let us seek Sir George.
He is coming towards us.
There she is. If I can but disengage her from that fool Flutter. Crown me, ye schemers, with immortal wreaths.
Oh, my dear Sir George, I rejoice to meet you. An old conjurer has been frightening me with his prophecies. Where's Mrs. Racket?
In the dancing room. I promised to send you to her, Mr. Flutter.
She wants me to dance. With all my heart.
Why do you keep your mask on? 'Tis too warm.
'Tis very warm. I want air. Let us go.
You seem quite agitated, Sir George. Shan't we bid our company adieu?
No, no. There's no time for forms. I'll just give directions to the carriage and be with you in a moment. And put on your mask. I have a particular reason for it.
Now, Kitty, you know your lesson?
I am a fast pupil, sir, and you are an assiduous teacher.
Lady Frances.
Henry! Mr. Saville, I mean, what are you doing? I thought you were in Lichfield.
I came back this morning.
Well, you make a very convincing conjurer.
And you, a most splendid phoenix. Let me lead you to your husband.
There's no need. Sir George should step to the door to give directions. We're going home immediately.
No, madam. You are deceived. Sir George is this way.
This is astonishing.
Be not alarmed. You have escaped a snare and shall be in safety in a moment.
I perceive I am in safety now, for I am with you. Can you refute it, Mr. Saville?
You are safe. This way.
Now!
Oh, but Sir George, the festivities have scarce begun. Oh, 'tis pity to go so soon.
Perhaps I may bring you back, my angel, but go now. You must.
Do mine eyes deceive me, or is that the enchanting Miss Ogle?
The one and only, sir. And you are?
A lowly cowherd, madam, as you can see from my costume.
Then perhaps, kind shepherd, you would be so good as to enlighten me to the pastoral delights about which I've read so many earnest novels of late. Is life in the country really as fine as the poets and painters would have us believe?
Every bit as fine, madam, I assure you. Now come, let's withdraw to the next room, where I understand they are about to open a new casement of wine, and I'll regale you with all the best tales of the rolling hills and purling streams.
Lead the way, sir.
By heavens, I never was charmed till now. English beauty, French vivacity, wit, elegance. Oh, your name, my angel, tell me your name, though you persist in concealing your face.
My name has a spell in it.
Well, I thought so. It must be charming.
Oh. But if revealed, the charm is broke.
I'll answer for its force.
Suppose it Millamant, or Valeria, or Angelica, or Alicia.
Millamant and Valeria and Angelica, the name your father gave you.
That can't be worth knowing, 'tis so transient a thing.
How transient?
Heaven forbid my name should only last till I am married.
Married? The chains of matrimony are too heavy and vulgar for such a spirit as yours. The flowery wreaths of Cupid are the only bands you should wear.
They are the lightest, I believe, but 'tis possible to wear those of marriage gracefully, so long as they are tied with a true lover's knot.
An angel. But what will you be when a wife?
A woman. If my husband should prove a churl, a fool, or a tyrant, I'd break his heart, ruin his fortune, elope with the first pretty fellow that asked me, and return the contempt of the world with scorn whilst my feelings preyed upon my life.
What if you loved him? And he were worthy of your love?
why then I'd be anything. And all grave, gay, capricious, the soul of whim, the spirit of variety, live with him in the eye of fashion or in the shade of retirement, change my country, my sex, feast with him in a forest hut or a Persian pavilion, join him in the victorious war dance on the borders of Lake Ontario, or sleep to the soft breathings of the flute in the cinnamon groves of Ceylon. Dig with him in the mines of Golconda, or enter the dangerous precincts of the Turkish Seraglio. Cheat him of his wishes and overturn his empire to restore the husband of my heart to the blessings of liberty and love.
Delightful wildness. Would I might catch thee and hold thee forever.
No, hold that holding, sir. Though Cupid must give the bait that tempts me to the snare, 'tis Hymen must spread the net to catch me.
'Tis in vain to assume airs of coldness. Fate has ordained you mine.
How do you know?
I feel it here. I never met with a woman so perfectly to my taste. And I won't believe it formed you so on purpose to tantalize me.
This moment is worth a whole existence.
Come, show me your face and rivet my chains.
Tomorrow, you shall be satisfied.
Tomorrow. Oh, and not tonight.
No.
Where, then, shall I wait on you tomorrow? Where see you?
You shall see me in the hour you least expect me.
What? Why all this mystery?
I like to be mysterious. At present, be content to know that I am a woman of family and fortune. Adieu.
Adieu. Then I am come at the end of it. See, thither she goes.
Barbarous creature. She's gone. What, and is this really serious? Am I in love? It can't be. Ugh. Oh, Flutter, do you know that charming creature?
What charming creature? I passed 1,000.
She went out at that door as you entered.
Oh, yes, I know her very well.
Do you? My
Yes.
dear fellow, who?
She's kept by Lord Anthony Sparkish.
Impudent scoundrel.
Kept?
Yes. Colonel Belleville had her first, then Mr. Lovett, then I forgot exactly how many, and at last she's Lord Antony's.
Oh, murder Belleville, poison Lord Antony, and shoot myself.
Now's the time I see to clear up the hole. Mr. Doricourt, I say, Flutter was mistaken. I know who you're in love with.
A strange recounter? Who?
My Letty.
Look, I understand your rebuke. 'Tis too soon, sir, to assume the father-in-law.
What do you mean by that? I tell you that the lady you admire so is Letitia Hardy.
I am glad you are so well satisfied with the state of my heart. I wish I was.
Flutter, come with us. We're going to raise a laugh at court halls.
With all my heart. Live to love was my father's motto. Live to laugh is mine.
Where have you brought me, Sir George. This is not our home.
'Tis my home, beautiful Lady Frances. Oh, forgive the ardency of my passion, which has compelled me to deceive you.
Mr. Cordal, alas, what will become of me?
Oh, say but that you pardon the wretch who adores you. Did you but know the agonizing tortures of my heart since I had the felicity of conversing with you this morning, or the despair that now... Zoons. My dear Lady Frances, I am not at home! Dick! Rascal! Do you hear? Let nobody in. I am not at home.
I told the gentleman so.
Eternal curses, they are coming up. Sirrah, be gone! Step into this room, adorable creature. One moment, I'll throw them out of the window if they stay there.
Oh, Gemini, beg the petticoat's pardon. I just saw a corner of it.
No wonder admittance was so difficult. I thought you took us for bailiffs.
Upon my soul, I am devilish glad to see you, but you perceive how I am circumstanced. Excuse me at this moment.
Tell us who 'tis then.
Oh, fie.
We won't blab.
I can't upon honor. Thus far, she's a woman of the first character and rank.
Oh, very fine.
Saville, have I influence or have I not?
Why, sure, you do not insinuate the...
No, not insinuate, but swear. I do. I swear that the lady is now in my bedchamber. There's generalship, Saville. Such a humble, distant, sighing fellow as thou art, at the end of a 6-month siege, would have boasted of a kiss from her glove. I, on the other hand, am the intrepid conqueror, an Alexander of old. I only give the signal and pop, she's in my arms.
Lady Frances,
Hush.
right now.
You shall see her name tomorrow morning in red letters at the end of my list. Gentlemen, you must excuse me now. Come and drink chocolate at 12, but as far as...
All right, let us go. Out of respect to the lady, 'tis a person of rank.
Is it? Then I'll have a peep of her.
This is too much, sir.
By Jupiter, we'll all have a peep.
Gentlemen, consider, for heaven's sake, a lady of quality. What will be the consequences?
The consequences? Why, you'll have your throat cut, that's all. But fear not, dear Cortal, you shan't be forgotten. I'll write your eulogy.
A fine false testament it shall be, too.
So now, for the door. Beg your ladyship's pardon, whoever you are. Emerge from the darkness like the glorious sun, and bless the wandering circle with your charms. Kitty Willis!
Your servant, Mistress Kitty, very well met.
Oh, why, what a fellow you are, Cordal, to attempt imposing on your friends in this manner, a lady of quality. An earl's daughter. Oh, your ladyship's most obedient servant.
Cordal, have you influence or have you not?
Struck.
Hell and 10,000 furies seize you all together.
But me too, Mr. Cordal, whom you have knelt to, prayed to, and adored.
That's right, Kitty. Give him a little more.
Disappointed and laughed at.
Laughed at and despised. I have fulfilled my design, which was to expose your villainy and laugh at your presumption. Adieu, sir. And remember, when you next want amusement, Dare not to look up to the sweet and honorable for a companion.
You imply that I am not virtuous, Mr. Saville.
Oh, I stated outright, my lady.
Very good. It is so rare and excellent a phenomenon nowadays for a man to see a woman clearly. Come, let's away.
Ooh, with all my heart.
And Courtall, before you carry a lady to your bedchambers again, look under her mask. Do you hear?
There's no bearing this. I'll set off for Paris directly.
Whimsical enough. Dying for her and hates her. Believes her a fool and a woman of brilliant understanding.
As true as you are alive. But when I went up to him last night to explain things, strange Doricourt whips around upon his heel and snapped me as short as if I'd been a beggar woman with 6 children, and he overseer of the parish.
Here comes the wonder worker. Behold the enchantress who can go to masquerades and sing and dance and talk a man out of his wits.
I am quite marvelous, aren't I?
Now listen to me, Letty. I haven't slept tonight for thinking of plots to play Doricourt, and they drove one another out of my head so quick that I was as giddy as a goose. I wish to goodness you could contrive something.
Contrive to plague him? Nothing so easy. Don't undeceive him, madam, till he is your husband. Marry him. Marry him whilst he possesses the sentiments you labored to give him of Miss Hardy, and when you are his wife.
Oh, heavens! I see the whole. That's the very thing. My dear Mr. Villers, you are the divinest man.
Oh, don't make love to me, hussy.
No, pray don't, for I design to have Villers myself in about 6 years.
Do you indeed?
There's an oddity in the man that pleases me. He holds women in contempt, and I should like to have that opportunity of breaking his heart as punishment for that.
And when I am heartily tired of life, madam, I know no woman whom I would with more pleasure make my executioner.
Your plan, Villers, cannot be. I foresee it will be impossible to bring it about. You know, the wedding wasn't to take place this week or more, and Letty will never be able to play the fool so long.
The knot shall be tied tonight. I have it all in my mind. You, Mr. Hardy, must feign yourself deadly ill. And for Doricourt, tell him you can't go out of the world in peace except you see the marriage ceremony performed.
I feign myself ill? I could as soon feign myself a Roman ambassador. I was never ill in my life, but with a toothache.
A flimsy performance shall suffice. But what says Miss Hardy? Are you willing to make the irrevocable vow before night?
Oh, heavens, it is so exceeding sudden that really
That really she is frightened out of her wits, lest it should be impossible to bring matters about. But I have taken the scheme into my protection, sweet coz, and you shall be Mrs. Doricourt before night.
See that Mr. Hardy's room be crammed with vials and all the apparatus of death, to carry off the illusion. You, Miss Hardy, go fetch your mask and get all your awkward airs ready. And you, sir, practice a few groans. And you, if possible, an air of gravity.
Fear me not. I can be as solemn as a church steeple.
I'll believe that when I see it.
Married in jest. 'Tis an odd idea. Well, I'll venture it.
Aye, I'll be sworn. It's past 3. The budget's to be open this morning. I'll just step down to the house. Will you go?
What, with a mortal sickness?
Well done, sir. By my troth, I believe if half of us parliamentarians were to stay away with mortal sicknesses, it would be for the health of the nation. Good morning, sir. I'll call and feel your pulse when I come back.
Oh, what's this? Doricourt, the man of fashion, undressed so late?
I didn't go to bed till late. 'Twas late before I slept, late when I rose. Do you know Lord Antony Sparkish?
Yes.
Has he a mistress?
Yes.
What sort of a creature is she?
Why, she spends him 3,000 a year with the ease of a duchess, entertains his friends with the grace of a Ninon, and ergo, she is handsome, spirited, and clever. In the name of caprice, what ails you?
You have hit it. Elle est mon caprice. The mistress of Lord Antony Sparkish is my caprice. Insufferable.
Wait, what? Wait, you saw her at the masquerade?
Saw her, loved her, died for her, without knowing her. And now, the curse is, I can't hate her.
Ridiculous indeed. All this distress about a courtesan whom any man may have in a fortnight? Just pay her price and she's yours?
I don't want to pay for her. I want to marry her.
What? Wait, no, surely not. Well, what becomes of poor Miss Hardy?
Her name has given me an ague. Dear Saville, how shall I contrive to make old Hardy cancel the engagement?
Let me see. Can't you get it insinuated that you are a devilish wild fellow? That you are a libertine, a rake, attached to wenching and gambling and so forth?
Aye, such a character might have done some good a century back, but who the devil can it frighten now? I believe it must be the lunatic scheme after all.
Yeah, but how are you certain that the woman who bewitched you was Kitty Willis?
Flutter told me so.
Oh, then 50-1 against the intelligence.
It must be so. There was a mystery in her manner for which nothing else can account. But who can this be?
Tis Flutter himself. Tip him a scene of the madman. See how it takes.
Oh, I will. Good way to send it about town.
Yeah, begin raving, man. Here he comes.
Oh, talk not to me who can pull comets by the beard and overset an island. There. This is he. This is he who hath sent my poor soul without coat or breeches to be tossed about in the ether like duck feather. Villain, give me my soul again.
Upon my soul, I
haven't got it.
Mr. Flutter, what a melancholy sight. I little thought to have seen my poor friend reduced to this.
Mercy, defend me. What, is he mad?
You see how it is. Cursed Italian lady jealously gave him a drug, and every full of the moon, he
Moon? Who dares talk of the moon? The patroness of genius, the rectifier of wits, the... oh, here she is. Oh, I feel her. Oh, she tugs at my brain. She has it. She has it. Yeah. Ah!
Well, this is dreadful, exceeding dreadful. I protest.
Indeed. The worthy Miss Hardy. What a misfortune.
Does her family know it?
Oh, no. The paroxysm seized him but this morning.
Well, adieu. I can't stay.
But you must! Stay and assist me, Flutter, I beg you!
Can't, indeed can't, upon my soul.
Flutter! Don't make a mistake now. Remember to tell the Hardys 'tis Doricourt that's mad.
Yeah, you're mad, yes.
No! Doricourt!
Egad, I'll say you are both mad and then I can't mistake. Goodbye.
That ought to do the trick.
The bird has escaped. Cordall has gone to France.
Heaven and earth, have you been to seek him?
Seek him. Aye.
How did you get his name? I never should have told it you.
I learnt it in the first coffee house I entered. Everybody is full of the story.
Well, thank heavens he's gone. But I have a story for you. The Hardy family are forming a plot upon your friend Doricourt, and we are expected this evening to assist.
With all my heart, my angel, but I can't stay to hear it unfolded. They told me Mr. Saville would be at home in half an hour, and I'm impatient to meet him. The debacle of last night
Places us forever in his debt.
That's one way of putting it. Hark, here's company. 'Tis your lively widow. I'll step down the back stairs to escape her.
Oh, Lady Frances, I am shocked to death. Our appointment at Hardy's is moot, our plot foiled before it was begun. Doricourt is mad.
Mad?
My poor Letitia. Just as we were enjoying ourselves with the prospect of a scheme that was planned for their mutual happiness, in came Flutter, breathless with the intelligence. I flew here to know if you had heard it.
No, indeed, and I hope it is but one of Mr. Flutter's dreams. Apropos, now we shall be informed, Mr. Saville. I rejoice to see you, though Sir George will be disappointed. He's gone to your lodgings.
I should have been happy to have prevented Sir George. I hope your ladyship's adventure last night did not disturb your dreams?
Not at all, for I never slept a moment. My escape and the importance of my obligations to you employed my thoughts.
You have no obligations to me, important or otherwise.
My gratitude.
The word is spoken. 'Tis enough.
Nay, 'tis not within 10,000 leagues of adequate. And yet, 'tis yours. But we have just had shocking intelligence. Is it true that Doricourt's mad?
Yes. Yes, I am sorry to say that I have just been a melancholy witness. melancholy witness of his ravings. He was in the very height of a paroxysm.
Oh, there can be no doubt of it. Flutter told us the whole history. Some Italian princess gave him a drug in a box of sweetmeats sent to him by her own page, and it renders him lunatic every month. Poor Miss Hardy. I have never felt so much on any occasion in my life.
Well, to soften your concern, I will inform you, madam, that Miss Hardy is less to be pitied than you imagine.
Why so, sir?
Well, 'tis a rather delicate subject, but he did not love Miss Hardy.
He did love Miss Hardy, sir, and would have been the happiest of men.
Pardon me, madam, but his heart was not only free from that lady's chains, but absolutely captivated by another.
No, sir, no. It was Miss Hardy who captivated him. She met him last night at the masquerade and charmed him in disguise. He professed the most violent passion for her, and a plan was laid this evening to cheat him into happiness.
Pardon me, upon my soul. I must beg your pardon. I have not eaten of the Italian princess's box of sweetmeats sent by her own page, and yet I'm as mad as Doricourt.
So, what can all this mean?
Why, madam, oh, madam, he is at present in his perfect senses, but he'll lose them in 10 minutes through joy. The madness was only a gambit to avoid marrying Miss Hardy. I must carry him the intelligence immediately.
Don't you dare! I owe him revenge now for what he has made us suffer. You must promise not to divulge a syllable I have told you, and when Doricourt is summoned to Mr. Hardy's, prevail on him to come, madness and all.
Pray do. I should like to see him showing off. Now I am in the secret.
You must be obeyed, though 'tis inhuman to conceal my friend's happiness.
I am going to him, so I'll set you down at his lodgings and acquaint you on the way with our whole scheme. Allons-y.
Yeah, I will attend you.
If I durst swear, Mr. Saville, you are the truest hearted friend in all of England.
Yeah, well, I would not have you swear.
I would not have you demur. By my faith, there's nothing so tedious in this rotten world as a man who cannot admit his own virtues.
Oh, except a woman who cannot admit her own faults.
I am plagued with faults. I never pretended otherwise.
Yet you are ignorant of your grossest shortcoming.
And what is that, pray?
You see the best in everyone, and would bestow the laurel of Christian charity on a heretic conjurer who only came to the assistance of a beautiful woman because the devil's covetousness compelled him to.
Even Lucifer was an angel once. And if to covet beauty be a sin, why then, I suppose we are all of us damned.
I suppose we are. Your servant, madam.
What effect can the morals of the age or the understanding of a philosopher have on a mind torn with passion? Oh. Is it possible such a soul as hers can support itself in so humiliating a situation? A kept woman. Well, I am glad it is so. I am glad it is so.
What a happy dog you are, Doricourt. If I were to go mad, my own mother would need reminding to lament it. But you, forsooth, the whole female world is concerned for. I reported the state of your brain to 5 different women, and within seconds, all 10 eyes were weeping.
What's this to me?
Nothing. For you are that rare man who can love in one direction and be impervious to his effect on the rest of womankind. Well, but I have news for you. Poor Hardy is confined to his bed. They say he's going out of the world by the first post, and he wants to give you his blessing.
Ill? So ill? I'm sorry for my soul. He's a worthy little fellow. If he had not the gift of foreseeing so strongly.
Well, you must go and take leave.
What, to act the lunatic in the dying man's chamber?
Exactly the thing. And it will bring your business to a short issue, for surely his final command must be that you are not to marry his daughter.
Huh. That's true, by Jupiter. And yet, dissemble to a poor fellow at so serious a moment? I can't do it.
You must. I'm answerable for your appearance, though I should be in a straitjacket. Look, he knows your situation and seems all the more desirous for an interview.
I don't like encountering racket. She's a wily devil and will discover the plot.
What? Cheated 99 women and now afraid of the 100th?
And with good reason, for that 100 is a widow.
Ugh. Yeah.
Miss Hardy is actually married tonight. If her fate does not deceive her, you are appraised of the scheme, and we hope it will succeed.
Deuce take her, 6 years younger than I am, and already on the brink of marital bliss. Or is she? I don't know the man. Is Mr. Doricourt handsome?
Handsome, fashionable, young, and rich.
Impossible.
Would 'twere so. The man's eligibility is intolerable, and I should like very much to despise him. except he possesses the kind of wit and spirit one prefers to keep in one's daily life.
I wonder you did this wonderful man, Mrs. Racket.
Really, Miss Ogle, I had not time. Besides, when I marry, so many stout young fellows will hang themselves for sorrow that, out of regard to society, I shall postpone it for a few years.
Well, here we are. But where's Sir Doricourt, the knight of woeful countenance?
Here soon, I hope, for a woeful night it will be without him.
Oh, fine. You condescend to pun.
Why not? It requires genius to make a good pun. Most men of wisdom can't reach it, as you have just proven.
Here they come! Here they come! Their coach stopped as mine drove off.
Oh, then Miss Hardy's fate is at a crisis. She plays a hazardous game, and I tremble for her.
Come! Let me guide you! This way, my poor friend! Why are you so furious?
Oh, the house of gas! The house of death! Oh, this is the spot! Hellfire!
How wild and fiery he looks.
Poor creature, how his eyes work.
I never saw a madman before. Let me examine him. Will he bite?
Yeah, pray, keep out of his reach, ladies. You don't know the danger. He's a savage beast if the urge seizes him.
You talk like a bear baiter. What's your price for showing the monster?
I don't like this. They are insufficiently afraid. I must rouse their sensibilities. There! There she darts through the air in liquid flames. Down again. Now I have her. Oh, God, she burns. She scorches. Oh, she eats into my very heart.
He sees the apparition of the wicked Italian princess.
Keep her highness fast, Doricourt.
And give her a pinch before you let her go.
I'm laughed at.
Laughed at? I, to be sure. Why, I could play the madman better than you. There she is. Now I have her.
Truly, the man's an abysmal actor.
I knew the devil would discover me. I'll leave the house.
Stay, sir. You must not go. It was poorly done, Mr. Doricourt, to affect madness rather than fulfill your engagements.
What? Affect madness? No. Saville, what can I do?
Well, since you were discovered, confess the whole.
I turn evidence and save yourself.
Yes. Since my designs have been so unaccountably discovered, I will avow the whole. I cannot love Miss Hardy, and I will never.
Hold, my dear Doricourt. Be not so rash. What will the world say to such a proclamation?
Damn the world! What will the world give me for the loss of happiness? Must I sacrifice my peace to please the world?
Yes. Everything rather than be branded with dishonor.
Though our arguments should fail, there is a pleader whom you surely cannot withstand. The dying Mr. Hardy supplicates you not to forsake his child.
The lady speaks true, Mr. Doricourt. Poor Mr. Hardy requests you to grant him a moment's conversation before he goes. Let me conduct you to his chamber.
Oh, anywhere. To the Antipodes, to the moon. Carry me, Mr. Villers, do with me what you will.
Mortification, then, is the cure for male stubbornness. I must write that in my medicine book. Well, let's follow and see what passes.
Ladies, have the charity to take me with you, that I may make no blunder in repeating the story.
Sir George, you don't know Mr. Saville.
10,000 pardons, Mr. Saville. But yet I will not pardon myself for not observing you. I have been with impatience at your door twice today.
I'm concerned you had so much trouble, Sir George.
Trouble? What a word. I hardly know how to address you. I am distressed beyond measure, and it is the highest proof of my opinion of your honor and the delicacy of your mind that I open my heart to you.
What has disturbed you, Sir George?
Your having preserved my wife in so imminent a danger. Start not, Saville. To protect Lady Frances was my right. You have wrested from me my dearest privilege.
George, please.
I hardly know how to answer such a reproach. I cannot apologize for what I have done.
I do not mean to reproach you. I hardly know what I mean. There is one method by which you may restore peace to me. I cannot endure that my wife should be so infinitely indebted to any man who is less than my brother.
Pray, explain yourself?
I have a sister, Saville, who is amiable, and you are worthy of her. I shall give her a commission to steal your heart out of revenge for what you have done.
I am infinitely honored, Sir George, but,
Oh, I cannot listen to a sentence which begins with so unpromising a word. You must go with us into Hampshire, and if you see each other with the eyes I do, your felicity will be complete. I know no one to whose heart I would so readily commit the care of my sister's happiness.
Be not afraid, good sir, for his sister is full of graces, and men of all tempers have quoted her handsome beyond measure.
Has she your wit?
No, faith, she's wittier by half.
Then belike she cannot boast of half your modesty.
True enough, Mr. Saville. There's none can touch my wife for humility.
Or for anything else. Well, sir, I will attend you in Hampshire, but not on the plan of retirement. Society has claims on Lady Frances that forbid it.
Claims, Saville?
Yes, claims. Lady Frances was born to be the glory of London. I dare say she has been sufficiently alarmed not to wander again beyond the reach of her protector. And from the domain of the British court, the most tenderly anxious husband could not wish to banish his wife. For the sake of her happiness, if not your own reputation as a loving husband, allow your wife to remain where she may find and exchange delight with the greatest number of friends. And let not the storms of jealousy dampen the joy that she will gain by her freedom.
I allow the force of your argument.
Do you? Do you really? Thank you, my love.
Yes, we shall stay in London.
Oh, heavens. Do you know
No, let me tell the story. As soon as Doricourt...
I protest you shan't. Said Mr. Hardy.
No, 'twas
that it
Doricourt who spoke first. Says he... No, 'twas the parson. Yes. He says.
Oh, stop his mouth, Sir George. He'll spoil the tale.
Never heed circumstances. The result. The result.
No. You shall have it in form. Mr. Hardy performed the sick man like an angel. He sat up in his bed and talked so pathetically of his desire for a son-in-law that the tears stood in Doricourt's eyes.
I stood. They did not drop, but stood. I shall in future be very exact.
Then the parson seized the moment. You know they never miss an opportunity to.
Make haste, said Doricourt, for if I have time to reflect, poor Hardy will die unhappy.
We were got as far as the day of judgment when we slipped out of the room.
And I see 'tis my cue.
To do what?
Ooh. That would be telling.
Well, by this time they must have reached amazement, which everybody knows is the end of matrimony.
But see, here comes the new bridegroom. Cousin Doricourt, I wish you joy.
Lord, if he's an example of bridegrooms, keep me single. A younger brother from the funeral of his father could not carry a more fretful countenance.
Oh, now he's melancholy mad, I suppose.
You do not consider the importance of the occasion.
No, nor how shocking a thing it is for a man to be forced to marry one woman whilst his heart is devoted to another.
Well, now 'tis over, I confess to you, Mr. Doricourt. I think 'twas unspeakably foolish of you to give up the happiness of your whole life for a man who perhaps has but a few moments to be sensible of the sacrifice.
So it appeared to me, but Mr. Doricourt has traveled. He knows best.
Zoons. Confusion. Did you not all set upon me? Didn't you talk to me of honor, compassion, justice?
Very true. You have acted according to their dictates, and I hope the utmost felicity of the married state will reward you.
Never, Sir George. To felicity I bid adieu. But I will endeavor to be content. Where's my... Oh, I must speak it. Where is my wife?
Mr. Doricourt, this lady was pressing to be introduced to you.
Oh.
I told you last night you should see me at a time when you least expected me, and I have kept my promise.
You could not have arrived at a happier moment. Mr. Doricourt is just...
Married?
Whoever you are.
Impossible. 'Tis but a few hours since he swore to me eternal love. I believed him, gave him up my virgin heart, and now, oh, ungrateful sex!
Your virgin heart? No, lady, my fate, thank heaven, yet wants that torture. Nothing but the conviction that you were another's could have made me think one moment of marriage. But this visit, madam, is as barbarous as unexpected. It is now my duty to forget you, which, in spite of your situation, I found difficult enough.
My situation? What situation?
I mean, I must apologize for explaining it in this company, but, madam, I'm not ignorant that you are the companion of Lord and Larkish, and this is the only circumstance that can give me peace.
I? Companion? A ridiculous pretense? No, sir, be it known to you that my heart, my honor, my name is unspotted as hers you have married. My birth equal to your own, my fortune as large. That and my person might have been yours, but sir, farewell.
Oh, stay a moment. Rascal, is she not?
Who? She? Oh, Lord, no, 'twas quite a different person that I meant. I have Never saw this lady before.
And nevermore shalt thou see anything else.
Oh, fine, Mr. Doricourt, have mercy upon the poor man.
Heavens, he'll murder him.
Murder him? Yes, you, myself, and all mankind. Sir George, Villers, Saville. 'Twas you who pushed me on this precipice. 'Tis you who have snatched from me my joy, felicity, and my life.
Finally, some decent acting. Now, see how well he plays the madman. I knew he would do it well enough when the time came.
Hard-hearted woman. Enjoy my ruin. Rot in my wretchedness.
This is too much. You are now the husband of my daughter, and how dare you show all this passion about another woman?
Hardy? Alive? Again?
Alive, I am merry, sir. Wipe off this flower from my face. I was never in better health and spirits in my life. I forswore 'twould do. Why, my illness was only a fetch, man, to make you marry Letty.
Was it? Base and ungenerous. Well, sir, you shall be gratified. The possession of my heart was never the object of you or your daughter. My fortune and name was all you desired, and these I leave you. My native England I shall quit, nor ever behold you more. But, lady, that in my exile I may have one consolation. Grant me the favor you denied me last night. Let me behold all that mask conceals, that your image may be impressed on my heart and cheer my distant, solitary hours.
This is the most awful moment of my life. Oh, Doricourt, the slight action of taking off my mask stamps me the most blessed or miserable of women.
What can this mean? Reveal your face, I conjure you.
Behold it.
Rapture. Transport. Heaven.
Oh, now for a touch of the happy medium.
The scheme was mine.
I will not allow that. No, this little stratagem arose from my disappointment in not having made the impression on you I wished. I was in love with you at the first, but your indifference forced me to cease my long-studied performance of the modest English lady and throw off the veil that hid me.
I am yet in a state of intoxication. I can't answer you. Speak on, sweet angel.
You see, I can be anything. Choose then my character. Your taste shall fix it. Shall I be a proper English wife? Or, breaking from the bonds of nature and education, step forth to the world in all the captivating glare of les mots françaises?
You shall be nothing but yourself. Nothing can be captivating that you are not. I will not wrong you by pretending that you won my heart at the first interview, but you now have my whole soul. Your person, your face, your mind, I would not exchange for those of any other woman breathing.
Oh, the dog! How well he makes up for past slights. Cousin Racket, I wish you as good a second husband with all my heart. Mr. Flutter, I'll believe every word you say this fortnight. Mr. Villas, you and I have managed this to a T. Egad, I was never so merry in my life.
Congratulate me, my dear friends. Can you conceive my happiness?
No, congratulate me, for mine is the greatest.
No, congratulate me that I have escaped with my life, and give me some sticking plaster. This wild cat has torn the skin from my throat.
I expect to be among the first who are congratulated, for I have recovered one angel, while Doricourt has gained another.
Don't talk of angels. We shall be happier by half as mortals. Come into the next room. I've ordered out every bottle of my 48 and we'll drink it out, except 1 dozen, which I shall keep under double locks for a certain christening that I foresee will happen within this 12 months.
Oh, what? Still pondering, Saville? Is not the promise of good wine and bad company enough to tempt thee out of these sober reflections?
Your pardon, Doricourt. I'm afraid I must be going.
To Hampshire, if I hit it right. Alas, Mr. Doricourt, we are the cause of your friend's preoccupation. 'Twas sure the flattering account of my sister that hath bewitched him, and he is now as impatient to make Harriet's acquaintance as a sailor to re-greet his wife after a long voyage at sea.
You're mistaken, sir. I rather think I have a mind to see foreign parts.
More foreign than Hampshire?
Mm-hmm.
Where, pray?
Aye, where? For I thought you had resolved never to allow the quarreling belles of Versailles to supplant your admiration for true, unaffected English beauty.
There are only so many beauties in England.
But where will you go?
To Italy, madam. As Venice or Naples. I admit I've always harbored an envious curiosity for those rare creatures who live perpetually in the sun. And besides, 'tis nearly carnival time.
I dare say you'll find the Neapolitan climate very much to your taste. Come, Francis. Godspeed, Mr. Saville. We'll drink healths to your departure.
And your safe return.
Yet I hope, Mr. Saville, you will not be so unkind as to depart the country before your friend's wedding. Heaven knows how this vagrant fiancé of mine will find his way to the altar without your direction. Stay! Stay. At least till the vows be spoken.
If you insist, madam.
I'm afraid I do.
Shall I tell you a secret, Miss Hardy? My friend Doricourt here has never been in love. You must have a care of his heart, for I'm sure the poor man hasn't the faintest idea what to do with it. Now you are at the center.
Oh, God's my life. Saville, I'm made of stronger stuff than you give me credit for.
Yeah, you are made of love! My dear Doricourt. And love is whiskey. The stronger the stuff, the weaker the subject.
Then you're truly resolved to leave?
As you are to spend an eternity with this wild schemer. Be not sad. 'Tis unbecoming of a bridegroom. But give me your hand, and there an end.
Upon my word, husband, thou hast a noble taste in friends.
And thou, dear wife, the sweetest inclining to names. From henceforth, look you call me nothing but, or I'm sure I'll run mad with fear that our matrimony is but the wicked illusion of my lovesick mind.
Wait. Good Lord, lovers, what stays you so long? By Our Lady, you'll have time enough to toy after you're married. Yet now there is in the next room a riotous army of intimates waiting to shower you with felicitations. Will you come and be merry?
With all my heart, dear Racket.
Pray, call for the musicians as we pass by. Bid them strike up a tune. Methinks the great teeming world of us are wretchedly overdue for a dance.